Boy, do I have a story for you. Okay, narcissistic Christian moms are the worst, okay? And I know I'm throwing out words that make you like tickle, like the word narcissism and Christian and mother in one sentence. Yes, it can happen, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm not here to bash like any anyone that like goes through this. I'm definitely not bashing like my own mom, my own situation. Is actually quite uncomfortable to talk about this, but this is actually good when something feels, not everything that is uncomfortable must go out the air, okay? But I know that this is like a story of mine that can help so many more people in this same predicament, because usually your body knows exactly that something is off, or like with your feeling, your intuition, you feel like, okay, I live in this household, I know Christian values, but like, why isn't it displayed? Like, why do I feel like the one that's, brings me up also is the one that could be my biggest hater? Um, and I know nowadays the word narcissism goes thrown so many times, like it's so overused. So I want to make very clear what Janet's definition is of narcissism. Okay, narcissism is not just anyone who has an ego, because every freaking body has an ego. Okay, I have an ego, you have an ego, some people have more egos than the other, but narcissism do have a pattern of an ego that needs to be fed because of insecurity and of their own rejection in life. They are like energy vampires. They need validation overly more than the average person. Like they need constant validation, or like they will just crash, and like their crash is brutal. Okay, they will take anyone and anyone in their crash, so they stand up. But at the end of the day, humans, we need to be transparent. You cannot pretend that you are perfect, okay? And I get when you are a mom. I'm not a mom, but I can try to put myself in the shoe of a mom that has already this societal expectation to, give her whole life up, or at least like 18 years of her life to her offspring. I mean, some moms chose for this life, others don't. I believe actually more and more that a lot of parents, including moms, are moms and are grateful for their kids, but if they could go back in time, they would not be moms. I genuinely believe this. Um, but you cannot reverse a child. A child is in this world. You have to take care of it. And in my opinion, it's it's actually still like 50-50. It's the parents' decision how to bring their child up, but it's also the child's responsibility at some point, to recognize pattern recognition and to set boundaries if there are some toxic situations or patterns that are being discovered. Because if you do nothing, and if you just see yourself as the victim of like bad parenting or something, you're also not gonna make it far. Like, I'm gonna be very honest. So actually, it's quite interesting how also spiritual abuse can exist in Christian communities and in Christian households. There are so many possible ways that this gets swept under the rug, because I know I've been in evangelical circles. The thing is always when you come up with these problems about like, yo, my mom is a narcissist, and you know, firstly, how it starts with me, I could not find the words for it. Firstly, I could not find the words for it. Firstly, it was like, strange behavior. Even like people close to me would say like, sounds like jealousy. Sounds like there are problems. Sometimes sounds like schizophrenia. And Yeah, it's quite crazy that people are diagnosing my mom, but yeah, and it's quite the thing to say this out loud again, but it has to be said because for me as well, I try my best to communicate with her at a level that it doesn't drain me from my energy, because it it's it's so interesting how just someone's presence and the way the people are, like the looks, the smirks, the things that are not said, like people think abuse is always physical, or like the things that are being said to you. It's also the things that are not being said. Like, people also need to know that neglect is like also a major form of abuse. Like, if people do not say things to you, if people will have you on, for example, how do you say this, silent treatment, or if people switch up on you because of their own issues, I get it, people are not perfect. But if it's a cycle, like if someone, if your person, your mother, your who else, one day is like your best friend, and the next day is like, not even like there's something off, but like straight up enemy vibes, that's not healthy. And it circles back to, oh sorry, and then it goes back to best friends again, and like it's kind of a consistent pattern in a crazy weird time frame. That's not healthy. I'm here to say that that's not healthy. It's not helping you in any way, shape, or form. And the enabler, people who, there's always a dynamic. You have the abuser and you have the enabler. The enabler is just as bad. Sometimes people just look at, oh, the abuser, the abuser. The enabler is just as bad. You just, you are a victim. But the thing is, we sometimes we give the victim mentality too much space, because we start out as, oh, I recognize this and this and this, and I am a victim of a sort of abuse. But there is a point where you need to go from victimhood to like a survivor, or like not a survivor. Yeah, you could start there as well, like to a survivor, because I don't see myself as a victim. I feel like I can call it out, and that's actually also a point and a very great indicator that someone is actually healing. If you cannot point, and if you are scared to point out the abusers in your life, for example your teacher or who else, then there could be some sort of shame, or like still some sort of abuse that's still lingering attached, um, which is understandable. It took me years, okay? And this is just the beginning. I'm not putting everything out, or all my business out, but growing up in a Christian household where the Bible is being spread, but at the same time, the Bible can be used to fill some agenda, and it's really, it's actually hard to explain. But in my situation, I've seen how spiritual dangerous dangerous it is to have a mom who is like in a religious psychosis, but at the same time is also has her own problems and doesn't want to help herself. So what happens, she isolates, and there's done no point of self-reflection, and I can tell. And when you're in a loop like that, you can out it on the people you love. You can out it on the people you love. Strange dreams, she would say to me, like, I had strange dreams always. There was always a strange dream, like, oh, I saw your sister in the dream, I saw you in the dream. And of course, if I've confronted, okay, like I can tell the story how it is. I've confronted her about this, but of course there's denial, but there are also parts of truth. Like, I have give credit to my mom as well. Like, she has a high intelligence for like what she really went through. Like, it's not like she's oblivious to it, but like there's parts of her that really needs like therapy. But Where was I? So yeah, some things are just not being spoken, and some things are very, very mentally abusing. Like if you keep telling me, you coming to me, you say like, okay, I saw you in the dream, you were demonic, I need to pray for you, blah 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 blah. And for me, okay, it's not like I don't believe you. Of course, you're my mom, I'm gonna believe that if you say these things that you find that I need deliverance, and you know. But I came to realize actually, the more I went into my faith, the more I was serious about God, the more attack I would get from my mom, the more attack I would get, as in it was so ridiculous. Like something would break in the house, like so like the fridge would break, and that would be my fault, and I would get crazy demonic stares. I'm not kidding. And she would crazy pray. You know those crazy prayers? I think not everyone knows, but there is some sort of prayer that people do where it sounds actually like voodoo, if I'm honest. And I'm actually quite very aware of how demonic this actually is, because how are you gonna pray out loud but actually pray on someone's downfall? My mom would pray on people's downfall. I'm not freaking kidding. She would pray on people's downfall, and then enter prayer with like, okay, it's a strange prayer, but like I need justice in my life. And then she would then pray like prayers over that, or on people about like and say that her daughters are like persecuting. And she would not sometimes say it explicitly, but we humans, we have a way of non-verbal communication as well. She would come up to my room or like stare me very intensively in the eye, like as I am the devil himself. She would also, I remember one time we were just she when I okay, she would actually lock eyes with me and be like, what are you staring at? Are you like staring at the demons? And this abuse has been going on since like, I don't know, because a lot of the times I also have been dissociating as like a coping mechanism, as I'm if I'm honest. So um quite a few years. But I'm actually happy that I learned so much about boundaries, and I learned so much about spiritual abuse, that is actually very the positive thing I can say and learn from this is actually that I can recognize very easily when there's spiritual abuse, and it's not okay. It doesn't matter if people are saying that they're Christians. It doesn't matter how close in proximity those people are to you, if it's family, yes or no. People can be so emotionally damaging, and it really had a bad impact in the way I just saw Christianity as a whole for a period of times. But I also feel like it's definitely part of my deconstruction as well, because how I am just figuring this out. Okay, I don't need the questions from you on YouTube. I'm just spreading my story. But of course, you have to recognize that this leaves like um, more questions to be sought after, and I'm not scared to admit that this experience made me like kind of, I'm not mad at God, by the way. People could interpret it as that. I'm not mad at God himself. I'm just like, okay, this is a very weird life experience, and it's not like my job to fix everything, but what can I learn from this, and why, and how. And I would like just a conversation. Maybe you also find yourself in in parts of the story. But thank you so much for watching, and ciao.